Hi, welcome back to my channel. In today's video I'll be explaining something really important, which is gauge swatch. I think it's pronounced like that, gauge, not gauge. I've been saying gauge because it looks like gauge. That is gauge, I think. So I'll be explaining this to you. In the meantime, I'll be finishing my beanie for me because it's cold outside and I don't have nice beanies. So yeah, let's get to explaining. I have my nose here, so if I look down it means like I'm reading stuff. I'm sorry. So first of all, gauge swatch is based on the number of rows and the number of, let's say, chains or whatever you need to make to achieve certain distances. So basic measurements are 10 centimeters or 4 inches. So first thing is, with your yarn, to build a square which is 10 centimeters by 10 centimeters or 4 inches by 4 inches. And after that you can see what is your gauge swatch for this yarn and for this hook. So let's see an example here. So this gauge swatch is 20 double crochets in the row and 10 rows to achieve 10 centimeters by 10 centimeters or 4 inches by 4 inches. Okay, let's now see a different example. This is all made up, like it's not real gauge swatch, and the previous one also wasn't real. So in this example you need 70 double crochets in a row and 30 rows to achieve the same measurements. I said double crochets, but it depends on your project. If your project is consisting of single crochets, then you have to do single crochets in a row. So this is basically it. And now why we use them? It's just for math. So for example, you're watching a tutorial and the lady's gauge swatch is the first one. It will be here and yours will be maybe here. The lady is first and yours is second. And in the tutorial, let's say the lady doesn't say what's her measurement. For example, for a t-shirt, she just says, I'm making 20 chains to start. And you're like, wait a minute, I don't know what's her yarn. I have different yarn. But she gives her gauge swatch and her gauge swatch is 20 chains is 10 centimeters, so you know that she's done 10 centimeters. So now you know that her first 20 chains is to make 10 centimeters of chain. So in your case, as you can see, to make 10 centimeters of chains or 4 inches, 10 centimeters 4 inches, you need to make 70 chains. So now you know that you need to make 70 chains to achieve the same distance. This is the first use of the gauge swatch. The same works with rows. So if the lady says, I'm making 30 rows, right? And again, no measurements. You don't know what's like the distance, approximate enough, but you know her gauge swatch. So her gauge swatch says 10 rows equals to 10 centimeters. She made 30 rows. It means her total measurement was 30 centimeters, right? 30 centimeters or 12 inches, because 4 times 3 is 12. The same with 10 times 3 is 30. You know that for you to achieve 10 centimeters, you need 30 rows. So 30 times 3 is 90. So you need to do 90 rows to achieve 30 centimeters or 12 inches. It's the same. But it only works if you have the same measurement as the lady. So you know that like the lady is the same size as you, or this tutorial isn't about the clothes, so it doesn't have to match you because everyone is different size, so you need to like measure yourself. But if someone is, let's say with the same example of swatches, a lady says my waist is 70. Let's say that in this example a lady says my waist is 70 centimeters, around 28 inches, and you know that your waist is 100 centimeters, 40 inches. Tutorial should say, based on the gauge swatch, that I chain 140 chains, right? Because you need to do 70 centimeters. To achieve 10 centimeters, in her case, you need 20 chains. So 20 times 7 is 140. 140 chains she should make. Or in inches is, you know she has 28 inches waist, which is, you know she has 28 inches waist. So to achieve 28 inches, she needs 28 divided by 4, which is 7. 7 times 20 is 140. Still the same answer, 140 chains. So back to you. You need 100 centimeters, which is 40 inches, right? So you know your gauge swatch. You know you need 70 chains to achieve 10 centimeters or 4 inches. So first let's focus on centimeters. 100 centimeters divided by 10 centimeters is 10, right? So you need 10 times 70 chains. You need 700 chains. Now back to inches, it's the same. 40 inches waist divided by your gauge swatch, which is 4 inches, is 10. 10 times 70 chains is 700 chains to cover your waist. Yeah, that's how it works. The same with rows. Let's say tutorial says 30 centimeters, which is 12 inches around, roughly. So the tutorial should say that they need 30 rows, because Based on the gauge swatch, to achieve 10 centimeters or 4 inches, you need 10 rows. You want to have 30 centimeters, so 3 times 10 is 30. So you need 30 rows. The same with inches. 12 divided by 4, which is gauge swatch, is 3. 3 times 10 is 30 rows. So if you have the same size, you also want this 30 centimeters or 12 inches, you should do you should do 90 rows. Let's do the math again. 30 centimeters divided by gauge swatch, which is 10, is 3. The same with inches. 12 inches divided by 4 inches is 3. The same. So 3 times 30 rows in your gauge swatch is 90. So you need 90 rows to achieve hair dimensions. 30 centimeters, 12 inches. But if you need different dimensions, let's say 50 centimeters, which is 20 inches, first centimeters. You do 50 centimeters divided by gauge swatch, which is 10 centimeters, is 5, right? And now 5 times 30 rows is 150 rows. You need 150 rows to do 50 centimeters. And the same with inches. 20 inches divided by your gauge swatch, which is 4. 20 by 4 is 5, and 5 times 30 rows is 150 rows. So that's how basically it works. You take the dimension that you want to make, like the length or whatever, you divided it by your gauge swatch, which is usually 10 centimeters, or if you work in inches, it's 4 inches. And this number, then you multiply either by number of chains that it takes for your yarn and for your hook to make this gauge swatch. So in your example is 30 rows or 70 chains, and then you have rough approximation of your work, how many chains you have to make, how many rows you have to make. And yeah, it's useful for this stuff because every yarn is different, every hook is different, everyone has different tension with their yarns. So if tutorial says let's make a t-shirt size S and they say chain 50 and that's it, and they don't guide you through how to work with gauge swatches and how to just measure yourself. Let's say a tutorial is about t-shirt, only if they have explanation how to make different sizes, every size, XS, S, medium, large, and so on. But they don't explain everything. I've seen tutorials saying do 50 chains to do small size and do 100 chains to do large size. It doesn't work like that. I'll do 100 chains and it won't fit me because I have different yarn, I have different yarn tension. So in my opinion, tutorials are still fine because you're just basically showing how to make it, in general. But if you buy a pattern that only says those stuff, then it's kind of bad because it's not gonna work for you, it's not gonna fit you. You have to basically do it by yourself then. So gauge swatch is good for patterns in this sense, because using this, anybody can do stuff for themselves and it will fit everybody. So instead of saying 50 chains, in the pattern it could say chain as much as you need to fit your waist. And if there's some rules, for example, number of chain has to be divisible by 10. That's it, that's the rule. Then you can approximate it using your gauge swatch. So if you know that your waist is 100 centimeters, then you can either without using gauge swatch, you can just chain 10, try to fit it. It doesn't fit. Chain another 10, try, and so on and so on. Or you can use your gauge swatch then, knowing that to achieve 10 centimeters you need 70 chains. Then you will know that you need 700 chains around this to fit your waist, and it's already divisible by 10. So you can try, might as well, 700 chains. And if it's too small, then you'll add 10 more because your yarn tension can change throughout 700 chains. Or if it's too big, you just destroy 10 chains. So gauge swatch is really useful for approximation. And tutorials are then more universal for everybody. But as I was saying at the beginning, it's also useful if somebody doesn't tell you dimensions during tutorials, because it happens that people just show you general info how to make the product without giving away dimensions. But they will give you usually gauge swatch in the description, so you can use this gauge swatch to approximate the dimensions from the video of someone. And maybe it will fit you, then you can just follow the tutorial along, just considering that you have different yarn and different hooks, so you might need still different amount of chains. But at least you know if the tutorial is about your size or if you should for sure make more chains. Gauge swatch is scary to hear about, but it's super easy. It's just math. technically you don't even need to use it. Literally, you don't need to use it. You can just, as I said, try and error. Because, as I said in the example, if someone says you need to fit your waist, you either measure your waist with a measurement and you know that it's 100 centimeters or I don't know, 50 inches, or you can just get your chain and put it around your waist and it works the same. So you don't technically need even gauge swatch. It's just like for approximations. So you won't have to like try and error. But it's useful in some cases. I like to use it. I even have like a little calculator. It's super easy. It's just like dividing, but if you want it, it's linked in the description for free. No payments, just like you can download it. It's Excel. Super easy. You just put your gauge swatch. You can even change dimensions of the gauge swatch, but usually it's 10 by 10 or 4 by 4, but you can change it if you have a different gauge swatch for some reason. And number of rows and number of chains and the dimensions that you want to achieve, and it will give you back the chains and the rows, how many rows you should have. So it's like pretty useful, super simple. But if you don't want to do math, feel free to download it. I hope I explained it good enough. And that's it for the video. I just wanted to explain what is gauge swatch. I hope you enjoyed this explanation. I hope you understood. If not, I'll record it again. It was super chaotic. I'm not good with explaining. I have too much stuff going in my head when I'm trying to explain stuff, especially with math. But yeah, I hope you understood, enjoyed. Feel free to subscribe, like this video, comment if some part was not understandable. I'll respond to your comment explaining it more clearly. I'll try more clearly. And that's it. Thank you guys for watching and see you guys in the next video. Bye!